Good evening. I'm Jean Busayas. I'm the Chief Examiner for Greenfield Community College, the Chief GED Examiner. On behalf of the Greenfield Family Literacy Collaborative and Greenfield Community College, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 6th annual GED graduation. The Family Literacy Collaborative is made up of the following agencies, who are all committed to promoting literacy in Franklin and Hampshire County. Greenfield Community College, where our GED grads outnumber those students that come from the high schools. We're very committed to our GED grads here. Franklin Hampshire Employment and Training, which offers not only GED classes, but employment and training options as well. The Literacy Project, which provides adult basic education and transition to secondary education and employment services to adults and youth. And the Family Learning Center, a community action program which caters to the pregnant and parenting student. And the Community Corrections Program, which offers GED classes to those on probation. Since last October, 152 students have earned their GED by testing at Greenfield Community College, including 7 get a load of this, including 7 of whom earned their GED diplomas while incarcerated at the Franklin County House of Correction. 22 of the GED graduates this year did so earn their GEDs while attending the Community Corrections Program. Several of those 22 are now GED students. Graduates have ranged in age from 16 to 64 years old. The passing rate for GED examinees tested at Greenfield Community College has consistently been above the state average. In 2009, we had an 80% passing rate. The state average is 66. Greenfield Community College is currently ranked 3rd out of the 32 testing centers in the Commonwealth for highest passing rates. Yeah. Certainly a testimony to our adult education centers, our literacy programs, and our employment and training programs. And on that note, I would like to acknowledge the GED teachers who are here with us tonight. If you could please stand when I say your name. From the Literacy Project, Louise Barrows, Joe Panzica, and Amber Ortiz. From Franklin Hampshire Career Center, Annette Kilminster. From the Family Learning Center, Alan Fowler. Mass Rehab Commission, Dee Brooks. I'm not sure if Dee is here tonight. Department of Community Corrections, Steve Klinke and David Brissett. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. We are very fortunate to have 5 very special speakers with us tonight to honor our graduates. David Ram, Dean of Academic and Student Affairs at Greenfield Community College, is tonight standing in for Bob Pura, who could not make it. So we also have 2 recent GED graduates and current GCC students, Sonia Byam and Megan Beauregard. We have the State Chief GED Examiner, Tom Meacham, who's my big boss. And we have an alumni who is now a paraprofessional, and his name is Nate. And I don't have last name? Borbo, thank you. I'm sorry. Screwed up on my notes. So, without further ado, it is my pleasure to kick off tonight's festivities by introducing David Ram, Dean of Academic and Student Affairs at Greenfield Community College, who again has very graciously agreed to step in Bob Pura's absence. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Jean. I didn't get the memo about the black gown. I have one at home in a closet. I could have worn it, but on behalf of all of the faculty, the staff, and all the students at Greenfield Community College, I want to say welcome to all of you tonight. I'm gonna say this, and I mean it. This is a privilege to speak with you. This is a privilege to speak with you. And I know people say that a lot. It's a privilege for me for two reasons. One, in the 80s, I was a volunteer and on the board at the Literacy Project. And I worked with some guys who were, I guess then they were my age now. And I can't tell you how much I learned from them and what a privilege it was working with them and seeing the work that they did to learn how to read and write and communicate more effectively with other people. And the other reason it's a privilege for me is around that same time I came here to Greenfield Community College and met with a fella who used to teach here named Hartley File, and I don't know if people know that name anymore. And I came to talk to Hartley because he purportedly, he was like the really good, if not excellent, writing teacher in the Valley. And I wanted to ask him, like, you know, how did you do this? How did you work with community college students, especially those who were called underprepared or developmental or even then remedial? And he said, well, first off, you have to understand this is a great privilege. It's a great privilege to work with these folks. And at the time, I had just started teaching at a community college, and I really didn't understand that. But the more I taught at a community college, and I did that for 15 years, the more I really did understand what Hartley was saying. And so, however many years later it is, Lindy could probably tell you, to be able to stand here and talk with you in this capacity is really a great treat for me. It's an honor and a privilege, and to do that on behalf of the college is really special. I have 2 points I want to make for you, 2 things I want to say. First off, I want to say heartfelt congratulations on this accomplishment. You've really crossed a major threshold. And you understand crossing a threshold into a room? But you also have to remember, and this is my second point, that's just one threshold. There are many, many rooms that you will now walk into. Innumerable rooms. Rooms you cannot imagine. Rooms I cannot imagine. Rooms that you will create. You will do that. This is called a graduation by some people. Other people will remind you it's a commencement. Commence means what? What does commence mean? Commence is to begin, to start. This is another beginning for you. So keep those 2 points in mind. It's a major accomplishment, but it's also a beginning. I want to tell you just briefly about, for me, the importance or the value of education and how it changes lives. First off, both my mom and dad are first-generation American. And they were very, very fortunate to go to college on a scholarship, which changed the generations to come, like that, overnight. Unbelievable. Both my parents taught, and they taught junior and senior high school their whole adult life. I taught for 15 years. I've been married to a teacher for almost 30 years. So education for me is like, it's the vocation and the avocation. School, I love school, okay? I hope you'll love school someday. I really do. You may not love school yet. Someday you will love school. It's in you. I believe that. I want to tell you about someone who never went to school. I want to tell you about Grampy Walter. It's my grandfather. He came here. He was 16 years old. By himself, he came here with nothing. Literally, the story of the clothes on the back from Lithuania. And he worked in a steel foundry well into his 70s. And he was never became a U.S. citizen. Always a resident alien. Had to go down every year and sign up. And I think the reason for that, and I'm not sure, but I think the reason is that he could not read or write in any language. Okay? He could not read or write, and I mean anything. He had a mark that he used to signify his name. And it really did look like a squiggly kind of X. He never went to school. His name wasn't even Walter. When he came here, his name began with a W, and someone working in Ellis Island as a clerk told him, well, your name begins with this W, and I don't know what the rest of it is, but you'll be Walter, okay? And he said, so he was Walter. Okay? I don't know where his appreciation for education came from, but he respected education and he admired the educated. I think in part because he was brilliant. In his own way, he was a brilliant man. During the Depression, my father said that his father, my Grandpa Walter, was never out of work. And my father explained that, first off, he was a very hard worker, but also he was very shrewd and skilled. And he could interpret blueprints, and he could make things precisely, even though he couldn't do the math or read. It's like a big mystery, but he could do it. My father said he kept every household bill in his head, and my father said he had it to the penny. Once a week, he'd count out some money and give it to my father. He was a little kid. He'd go down to the butcher and hand the butcher some money, and the butcher would count it out. And my father said every week it was to the penny. And again, this was a mystery. How the guy did it, I don't know. When I was in graduate school, which is also another big mystery, I tried explaining to my grandfather what I was doing. It was like some holiday. We were together, and people were having a good time, drinking beer and eating, and I tried to tell him what I was doing, and he just couldn't get it. And I was really frustrated. I was so proud. I was in graduate school, and I was doing important stuff. And my father says to me, he says, just tell him you're a teacher. Just tell him you're a teacher. And I was this graduate assistant. So I said, Grampy, I said, I'm a teacher. And he just looked at me. And his eyes lit up, and then they welled up. And this was a man for me who was like the steel that he worked with. Okay? He was about 5'6", and he wore a 44 jacket, if you know what that means, and he wasn't overweight. And his hands were twice the size of anyone in this room. And he looked like he was going to start crying, and I got scared and happy at the same time. Just by telling him that I was a teacher. I don't know why he revered that. At some point in his life, he had acquired a second triple-decker in Worcester. And he sold it. And he gave the money equally to the grandchildren. There was one stipulation. You use this money for education. Either your own or your own children. But otherwise, you don't touch that money. Some of his grandchildren have attended Harvard, Princeton, Brown, Yale, Cornell, Boston College, Northeastern, Suffolk University, Syracuse, Wesleyan, Haverford, UCal, Berkeley, and, last but not least, and perhaps most importantly of all of us, Greenfield Community College. So what? So here I am. I'm Walter's grandson. I'm speaking to you as the dean of the college. And really, if that is not a privilege, I don't know what is. And you all have a privilege now, too. You have a great privilege that you've earned through hard work. You also have a responsibility, right? To your children and your grandchildren unborn. And some of them may be born. Again, you've made a great, giant leap forward. And I just want to say, keep on keeping on, keep on doing it. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Tom Meacham is the state chief GED examiner and the person who keeps me on my toes when it comes to administering all the state regulations when I'm administering a GED test. And for 6 years, Tom has graciously come out all the way from Malden to congratulate you graduates. Tom.
Thanks. It's nice to see you all. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Jean for allowing me the privilege of being here tonight. But I'd also like to thank her for running a really exemplary test center. Experienced chief examiner, a great staff, certainly makes my life easier, but really it makes your life easier too, because it creates a great test environment with supportive examiners, efficient procedures that gives you and has given you the best chance for you to do your best. So Jean, thank you very, very much. And I'd also like to thank Greenfield Community College, not just for their support of the test center, but also for their support of you, the GED graduates. Many of you will be coming here, or many of you already are here, and it's an excellent opportunity for a fine, fine education. So, David, thank you very much. So I do have a confession to make. I am not known as a gifted public speaker. Nevertheless, Gene has invited me out here for several years in a row now. And I love coming here. I love seeing you guys. And I love reacquainting myself with all my friends out here, the teachers and the people at the college, and especially the people at the test center. But I said to Gene this year, you know, Gene, they've got to be getting pretty sick of me now, you know. She said, hey, don't worry. It's a new bunch of students. They've never heard you before. You know, if you're bad, they're never going to know how really bad you are till it's all over, so don't give it a second thought. So, here I am. But she did say one thing. She said, you know, you do have one problem, Tom Meacham. You've got a lot of Gaelic blood coursing through your veins, which means you really like to hear yourself talk. And you do have a tendency maybe to go on a little too long. Meanwhile, these graduates have things to do, places to go, people to see, and they can't be sitting here all night. So I said, okay, but what this means for you all is that there are many things that I would have included in this speech tonight that I am not going to talk about. For example, one of the things I am not going to talk about tonight is how valuable is that piece of paper that you are holding in your hand, that GED diploma. Because I know that 98% of the colleges and universities in the country and 96% of the employers accept the GED diploma as exactly equivalent to a high school diploma. The GED testing service tells me 98% of the colleges, but I have never known a single college in this country to bat an eye if you slap down a GED diploma instead of a high school diploma. And since you must have some post-secondary education these days if you're going to support your family, and you can't access post-secondary education without a high school credential, that little piece of paper is very, very valuable. Of course, I'm not going to talk about that tonight. And I'm also not going to talk about how difficult the test is and how smart you have to be in order to pass it, even though I know that the GED testing service, before they roll out the test, they try it out on high school seniors all across the country who are going to graduate from their high schools, and 42% of those high school seniors fail the GED test. And it's harder to pass than the MCAS test to get your high school diploma. So you really have to be very, very smart in order to pass the GED test. But I don't have time to talk about that. And I'm also not going to talk about something else I know, which is what studying for, taking, and passing the GED test says about your character. It says about your motivation, because for many of you, it's a big change in your life. What it says about your perseverance, because for many of you, it has not been easy. And what it says about your courage, because you know you could have failed. And it takes a lot of courage to commit yourself to something where if you fail, everybody's going to know it. And that is a great quality. And you did not fail. You passed, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff tonight, though, because I don't have time. And I'd like to remind Jean Boussailles, if she's timing me, that all I have talked about so far tonight are the things I am not going to talk about. My speech has not yet begun. But I would like to talk to you for just 1 minute about what I foresee for you going forward. Because I'm one of the great ones for like new starts. Like every full moon, I'm like making a new start on something, you know, or every birthday or every New Year's Eve. And that makes me a bit of a fake, you know, because I mean, you're obviously failing pretty badly if every full moon you got to make a new start. Let's try it again. Like I've been trying to lose weight, and you can see it hasn't worked. However, what you guys have accomplished is real, and I don't think it's an overstatement to think of what you've done by earning your GED test as a new start or as a bit of a rebirth. You know, not that you're a new person, but like a child grows into the woman or the man, or a bud grows into a flower. There's a wonderful poem by Galway Kinnell called St. Francis and the Sow. It's one of my favorite poems. And it begins, The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing, though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. And when I'm talking about the transformation that you have had, this poem speaks to that because it says that the transformation was always within you and that it may have taken someone or something to reteach you so that this could blossom. And I really like that concept of reteach instead of teach because it means that the strength was always in you. And they're talking not, when they speak of loveliness, they're not talking about physical beauty. And if you read that poem fully, you will see they're not talking about that. But they're talking about what has been developed in you and what you have developed as a wider range of personal qualities. Intelligence, humor, self-confidence, and a certain perspective on life. And I sort of think in this regard that the GED process itself that you have gone through plays a part in this reteaching. And so I don't think it's a stretch to say that the person you are now, sitting there with the GED in your hand, is a different person in many ways from the person you were before this happened. I know you have truly flowered, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So I'm very, very proud of what you've accomplished. I'm excited about your possibilities for the future, and I'm really honored to have been able to share some small part of your success tonight. So thank you very much. I'm with you all the way.
Our next speaker is a recent GED grad and a current student at Greenfield Community College, Sonia Byam.
Good evening, fellow graduates. I want to start off by saying I'm very proud and deeply honored to be a guest speaker today on this special occasion. I never could have imagined a moment like this that I would speak on behalf of so many people. Being married and a young mother at 15 years old, I never graduated high school. I could say it was one of my best kept secrets for many years. Now, 23 years later, in June of this year, I obtained my GED. This summer I attended my first college class, and now I'm a full-time student here at Greenfield Community College. An old friend told me once to never settle, and that has always stuck with me. I believe we all have choices, and in order to achieve your personal goals, whether it's going to school or entering the workforce, you should always tell yourself there is nothing I can't do if I'm motivated, confident, determined, and believe in myself. This past year I had a few obstacles, I guess I could say, but that didn't stop me from keeping my focus on my goals. There are many things we have no control over, and from experience, I have to say, if it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger. This journey in my life is what I make of it. Smile once in a while, laugh a lot, and appreciate everything and everyone along the way. I want to take a moment now to give a special thanks to Louise Barrows, Amber Ortiz, and Joe Panzeker, my friends and former teachers of the Literacy Project. They pour their heart and soul into helping students improve not only their abilities for education, but also their quality of life. They really care about people. I can't believe still how comfortable I was going back to school after all these years. At the Literacy Project, there is a genuine warmth and a sincerity. I do consider them my second family. I want to end by saying congratulations to everyone here today and best wishes in all your future successes. Thank you.
Okay, Megan Beauregard graduated in 2009 and now is also a GCC student. She is an alumni from the Family Learning Center in Greenfield. Megan.
Hello, my name is Megan Beauregard, but most people at GCC know me as Ducky. It was about a year ago that I sat where you sit now, so excited that I had been able to complete my GED and move to bigger and better things. I was so proud of myself, as I'm sure you are as well. My journey, like many of yours, started with a push. It pushed harder and harder until I finally made it. I got my GED. Everyone's push is different, but my push was my now 2-year-old son. He still pushes me to be the best that I can. I became pregnant with my son when I was only 16 years old. For some reason, I thought that having a child would not change a thing. It did. I finished out my sophomore year of high school, and on August 20th, my son was born. I didn't go to high school again. I dropped out of high school in late September, and in November I found the Family Learning Center. They helped me so much. I loved going to school there every day. I was able to go to school and learn, but also have a small break for my son. But if I missed him too much, he was right down the hall. I loved going there, and I know I learned a lot, and so did my son. I got my GED that following summer. I started at GCC that fall. I was in the Next Step Up program. Without Lindy, I'd still be trying to figure out my way around the school, but now I feel like I know the place. Wherever you go after this, I hope that they treat you as well as GCC has treated me. I was pulled into many groups that go on here and found a second home. I even work here. I have been given many opportunities to better myself at GCC. So far, my time here has been absolutely amazing. I am sure that wherever you go after this day, you will go with a new confidence that you have accomplished something great, and I'm sure this will be one of many. Congratulations on your graduation day.
Nathan Bourbeau earned his GED in 2008 and is an alumni of the Literacy Project. He is currently a special needs aide in the Greenfield school system and will be entering GCC next semester as an education major. Nathan.
First, I'd like to thank the Literacy Project and GCC for having me. I really appreciate the invite, having the opportunity to come down here and spend a few minutes going over my experiences. I came from a good family. My family's still together. I have one brother whom I love. I squandered most of my youth. I didn't graduate. It took me another 10 years to realize how foolish that was and how much time I had wasted on a winding path when I should have taken a straight and narrow one. In 2007, I went to the Literacy Project for help. They were all the more happy to assist. They helped me get my GED. They reintroduced me to eBay, which has been a really big help. In the last 3 years on eBay, I've successfully validated over 500 transactions, and 220 of which were in the last 12 months alone, and they were all selling. So finances have been pretty decent, all things considered. And this was all with dial-up. I have no high-speed internet. And I was also, the following year, as soon as I got on eBay, I was also able to graduate. And since then, I've moved on to a job over at Greenfield Middle School, helping, I'd say, 8 to 13-year-olds with knowledge that we may take for granted. It's taxing but rewarding, if that makes any sense. And, you know, I have the Literacy Project to thank for that. And I also have an 18-month-old daughter who couldn't make it tonight because she had a new toy, but I forgive her. I realize that I'm not just working for myself, I'm working for a family. And I had to make a lot of sacrifices, and it's just not going to get any easier. And until I can realize that and really focus, that's the only aid that I'm really going to need. But I want to wish the graduates well and good luck, and thank you all for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia, Megan, Nate. You're inspirational. Okay, big moment's finally arrived. We are honored to have David Ram here tonight to present you with your certificates. And I would like you to stand up by rows. Margie will help you through it. And when you're all done, go back to your seats, sit down, and we'll take it step by step from there. Cody Adams. Go right over there. You wanna go this way? Corey Andrews. Dexter Babione Putnam. Kayla Bassett. Ramiro Buenostro. Sonia Byam. Alden Corey. Douglas Dawson. Julianne Fisk. Clarissa Howard. Lorelei Holman. Ariana Heyer. Omar Jimenez. Kai Johnson. Jane Jordan. Clayton Kessler. Francis Lakota. Samuel Lane. James Lord. Samantha Lord. Jerry Manzo. Stacy McWilliams. Cody Morris. Lisa Nichols. Vincent Pratt. Jennifer Shippey. Matthew Smith. Brandon Taylor. Carlos Velez. Ren Williams. Jessica Woods. And Zeke Heater Wegscheider. Okay, let's see. As soon as you all sit down, I'm going to make you stand up again. Stand up. Flip your tassels. You are graduated. There you go. Woo! All right. Woo! Turn around. Look. You're getting a standing ovation.